Now hold your horses, young lad, for I'm about to say something incredibly brave. Jujutsu Kaisen is very good. Yes, Mr. 400 plus anime entries on my anime list, so you can't call me a normie. I think Jujutsu Kaisen is very good. The high profile Mappa Battle Shonen title burst onto the scene in the fall of 2020 and ended up one of the most popular new gen anime. This video is partially based on an Instagram post I made with roughly the same title. Follow me there if you want. Personally, I don't like Battle Shonen, and yet I find Jujutsu Kaisen to be, weirdly enough, very entertaining. In this video, I'll try to break down why. There are no spoilers for the manga or the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero movie, only for the anime. Hit a like and subscribe if you enjoy, and let's get started. Production. Let's get the obvious out of the way first. Yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen is very well animated and the manga is very well drawn. Of course, the anime has flaws animation-wise. Mainly the, to put it in a nice way, very bad at times looking composition, which most people don't seem to talk about much. I may make a Jujutsu Kaisen is not that well animated video at some point, so I'll not go into detail about it here. Instead, let's look at the positives. Jujutsu Kaisen has a ton of Sakuga work. The driving force behind it is animator Keiichiro Watanabe, animating 4 of the best looking sequences from the show. Aside from him, freelancers like Verkreek and other great animators like Hironori Tanaka, Onodera Ren, and the director Sungho Park himself. Questionable composition aside, the character designs are very good looking and the curse designs are sometimes genuinely unnerving, and the sound effects only accentuate that. The soundtrack is groovy with EDM influences, which helps the overall aesthetic of the show. The manga art is amazing too, with stunning panels and a very detailed art style. Very cool from a visual and production standpoint. A cohesive plot. Now, like most Battle Shonen anime, Jujutsu Kaisen is definitely a plot-driven series, with arc after arc having nail-biting sequences. I feel the story of Jujutsu Kaisen isn't that unique compared to its contemporaries. What's unique is the way they handle it, with these subtle aspects that makes the whole story feel more cohesive. It's not Jujutsu sorcerers go on random missions, but rather every mission involves curses fundamentally important to the story. It's not a random tournament arc, it's an arc that manages to establish various character dynamics that come into play later on. It's not a random curse for the main characters to speedrun through, it leads to a bigger picture. You get what I'm trying to say, right? Most things have a meaning. There is not really that much that is unnecessary. Events of each arc play a part in the next one. All of these things help make the plot feel more connected and the whole thing feel like a single story instead of a bunch of different stories with common characters, which is how most Battle Shonen anime feel, honestly. It's one of the reasons why I dislike the genre, but Jujutsu Kaisen manages to carve out an exception for itself. An entertaining cast. Now here's a purely personal opinion, but a complicated cast is a curse for a plot-driven show. In a series where the plot is the primary focus, too many well-developed characters can make the viewer overwhelmed. Jujutsu Kaisen understands this well. While the leads are entertaining and well fleshed out, the side cast is carried by personality instead of depth, making the whole story easier to ingest. All the characters, however, are really entertaining and have good dynamics with themselves and with the leads. This to me is a model example of what a story-driven show's cast should look like. Props to them for nailing this aspect. Subverting expectations. What I mean by this is how much a series plays into expectations. For this instance, Jujutsu Kaisen is a shonen and there are certain tropes associated with the shonen genre, and these tropes lead to people predicting what would be the next thing to happen. Jujutsu Kaisen does play into the shonen tropes, but still feels different, all while keeping the root intact. A good example of this would be the Junpei incident. Any faithful shonen fan would assume Junpei to be healed one way or another and join the good guys. Well, you know what happened. But the best part is, this wasn't done just for the goal of being different. It made sense according to the plot and contributed to the establishment of the show's atmosphere and stakes. Why would the monster that is Sukuna help a random kid? That wouldn't make sense. There are many more such examples. Essentially, this show doesn't try too hard to be a bit different, it just is. I doubt the author sat there with a list of shonen-based cliches and decided which not to follow, but rather did what was most likely to happen given the scenario, ending up as different and unique in the process. All in all, I really like this part of the series. This unique nature is something I look for in every show I watch. Attention to detail. This is another aspect that is almost entirely missing in the shonen genre. There are a lot of plot points in shows which are ignored, often leading to the moments feeling forced. Rules are established on the fly and still not followed. Jujutsu Kaisen, however, is different. It goes through the effort of following the rules that it established and corrects these fine details, adding to the natural flow of the story. What it does is make the story feel more believable. This is another one of those factors I look for in every series I come across and rarely find any that do it correctly. Here are some examples of said attention to detail. Heavenly restrictions to explain Maki's superhuman strength. The existence of veils to explain how normal people aren't aware of jujutsu fights. Explanation about how normal people can see curses when they're near death. Explains why people can only occasionally see them. And a well-explained power system. Great world building. Oh, what do you mean world building? It takes place in Japan. Lol. World building is more than just geography. It includes the lore, history and much more. I felt I needed to clarify this part. For the sake of simplicity, I will include the power system as part of the world building as well. It does kinda count. I feel the world building is one of the strongest aspects of the series and I'll break down why. In terms of history, the world boasts the golden age, where the art of jujutsu was at its finest. It also mentions other such events which will come into play later as clever foreshadowing, such as the corrupt Norito Shikamo and his antics. The political structure of the world interests me the most. It's grounded and realistic. It makes sense for a jujutsu world where techniques are inherited to be a nepotism-based society, and there being an intense power struggle despite the threat of curses. That's just how humans operate. Lastly, the power system. Cursed energy in and of itself isn't that unique. What's unique is the several ways to use them. From Nanami's ratio to unique domains, the possibilities are endless and the author makes good use of it. The manga. There are no spoilers here like I said, but the two main arcs not adapted yet are the Hidden Inventory arc and the iconic Shibuya Incident arc, and both of these arcs are significantly superior to whatever has been adapted so far, so the series will only get better from this point on. These arcs make the best use of the development and dynamics already established in the series so far. It's really good. So to answer the main question here, is Jujutsu Kaisen worth the hype? Yeah, it is. Regardless of whether or not you consider the anime only or the entire series including the manga, I believe either way it deserves the hype it gets. Unlike many other really popular shonen shows, this doesn't have any areas it's obviously lacking in. It gives you a little bit of everything, whether that be the plot, some amounts of character work, top tier action, good world building, even the comedy lands. When's the last time you saw a shonen that had decent comedy? All shonen had to offer in terms of comedy so far was look, this guy is short, or look, girl got naked lol, laugh now. Subscribe if you enjoyed, drop a like and comment down below what you think of the series. Is it worth the hype? You tell me. It's been, Jesus that's a long name. Until next time.